go. When we're dealing with 2 points, we do the y's on top. Because when you say rise over run, that implies vertical over horizontal, right? And when you do your x and y axes, the vertical is the y and the horizontal is the x. So we're always going to do vertical over horizontal. Okay, so our 2 points are -1, 2, and 6, 8. Ethan, did you drive home last night or did somebody pick you up?
My dad picked me up.
I just happened to be behind the Ritz leaving last night, and I was heading to Lawrence Park to watch the soccer match. And as we pulled out of the cathedral, some guy was, some vehicle had broken down right by Fatima, and a guy on a motorcycle stopped to help push the broken down vehicle up into the Fatima Drive. And Ethan's family, it was so wonderful what they did. The guy had parked his motorcycle right on 56th Street in the middle of the road. And there were all these cars streaming out of Cathedral, and it was, I mean, he's just stopped right in the middle of the street. And whoever was driving Ethan's car stopped and put the flashers on so that the guy wouldn't get hit. It was so sweet. It's just one of those little things that you never know that could have saved someone's life. I mean, it was awesome. I'm sure you guys were in a hurry and had places to go and things to do, but you stopped and left your flashers on until those people got out of the way. It was really nice. All right, back to slope. Here we go. So we want rise over run, y's over x's. So we take y minus y over x minus x. Y minus y over x minus x. So we end up with 6 over 7 as our slope. 6 minus -1 is 7. Are you okay with that? You remember doing slope before? Yeah, that's pretty easy stuff. All right, how about b? Let's try b on your own. -3, 10, and 6, 1. How do you find that slope? 1 minus 10. By the way, could we do 10 minus 1? Yes, but if we did 10 minus 1, we have to do -3 minus 6. If we do 1 minus 10, then we have to do 6 minus -3. So we end up with -1. -9 over 9, -1. Now the next question is exactly the same thing, but it's trickier. Notice they left out one of the pieces of the point, but they gave you the slope. So what's your thought on that? How might we progress with this? Okay, so to find slope, 6 minus 5 over x minus 4. That's all we can do. Well, I guess we can make that 1 over x minus 4. 6 minus 5 over x minus 4. That's the slope, right? So what shall I do with this? Set it equal to 3/4. Because the slope is 3/4. So 1 over x minus 4 equals 3/4. Now how do I solve something like that? Cross multiply. So here we go. 4 times 1 equals 3 times x minus 4. So 4 equals 3x minus 12. And let's see, let's add, is that 16? And I got 16 thirds, did you? It's okay to get fractions, that's fine. Does that make sense to everybody? B is exactly the same, except the variable's in a different spot. And this time the slope is -2/3. So set up your equations. Bailey, what's your, Bailey McHugh, what's your equation going to be for this? Let's set up the slope between these 2 points. Y minus -2. 1 minus 3. Very, very good. That's your slope. Y minus y, x minus x. Perfect. And the slope has to equal -2/3 in this case. Now what's y minus -2? Y plus 2. What's 1 minus 3? -2. So here we are back again. This is called a proportion. Here we are back again where we were a minute ago. How did we get ourselves out of this? Over there, what did we do? We cross multiply. Now be careful. You're going to have 3 times y plus 2. 3 times y plus 2 equals 4.
Yeah. -4. No. -4. My bad. 3y.
So 3y plus 6 equals 4. Subtract 6. And y equals -2/3. Remember, fractions are okay. Nothing wrong with fractions or negatives. We're just going to talk about points. Now, part 3, this is really the heart of the matter. This is really the focus. We are going to write the equation of a line through these 2 points. Now, if you look underneath the problem, I have a little star that says point slope. Use point slope. Does anybody have a clue what I'm talking about when I say use point slope? There's a form. I heard her say there's a form or a formula for point slope. Somebody said it's super long. That's it. That's it. It's very close anyway. It's point slope is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That's it. When you use point slope, it's called point slope because you're going to plug in a point. So I might use this one. I hate negatives, so I'm going to use this point. And this is my x1, y1. That's my point. So I'm going to plug that in to my formula. And I'm also going to plug in my slope. Now, I can't plug in my slope until I find it, right? So step 1 is find the slope. Well, we just talked about that. What will the slope be? Bailey Newhart. Perfect. 4 minus 2, 6 minus -1, which is 2/7. Now I have my slope, and I picked my point, and I could pick either one. I just don't like dealing with negatives if I don't have to, so I picked this point. You could have picked that one. So I'm going to take this slope and this point and plug it in that form. So I'll have y minus 4 equals 2/7 x minus 6. Now, does that make sense to you? Do you see why I have those numbers in those places? Y minus my y coordinate equals the slope times x minus the x coordinate. Okay, now we gotta clean it up a little bit. Y minus 4 equals 2/7 x minus what? 12/7. Those of you that said 12/7, you're right on target. We're distributing, so we're taking 2/7 times 6/1. 2/7 times 6. And when we multiply fractions, it's straight across. So 12/7. Beautiful. Now I need to add this 4 to both sides. That means I have to add these together, right? So I have negative 12/7 and I have 4/1. When I add fractions, what's the rule? Common denominator. So the common denominator will be 7, so I gotta times that by 7. So I have negative 12/7 and 28/7. 16/7 is what I get when I add them together. Now you all know how to do that. You just have to slow down and do it step by step. And we're done. Let's try one more. We're going to do exactly the same thing. Let's see if you can do this. All right, here we go. Write the equation of the line using point slope. What's step 1? Find the slope. You tell me what the slope is.
2/3.
I heard a 2/3.
3.
I heard a 3/2. Which is it? I get the same numbers, 2 and 3. Is it 2/3 or is it 3/2?
It's 3/2.
Why is it 3/2?
If you subtract.
What goes on top? Always, always, always. Which letters?
Y.
Y's. So it's 5 minus 2 over 5 minus 3. So it's 3/2. Always rise over run. Rise over run. Y over X. All right, now what?
Choose your coordinates.
I'm going to pick a point.
3, 2.
We'll go ahead and use this one since the numbers are different. It'll be easier to keep track of them. Doesn't matter though. It doesn't matter. Pick either point. And then what does my point slope formula say? Y minus 2 equals 3/2 X minus 3. Now why is the 2 here? I'm using this point. Why did I put the 2 here and the 3 here? Because the 2 is the y. The y's are together. So y minus 2 equals 3/2 x minus what? What do I get when I multiply here? Remember, it's top times top, bottom times bottom, so it will be minus 9/2. And then I'm going to add 2, which means I got to do the whole common denominator thing again. So y equals 3/2 x. Okay, here we go. I have to add a negative 9/2 and a 2.
Negative 5/2.
This is negative 9/2. This is 4/2 because I need a common denominator. And whoever said negative 5/2, you are exactly right.
So either one you choose, either intercept you choose, because I have 5 and 5, it'll get you the right answer.
Yeah, it will get you the right answer. It's kind of unbelievable, but it really will. Math is a beautiful thing. Now, if you look at the next problem, kids, it's exactly the same directions, except, what does that one say? Use slope-intercept form, which we've kind of, well, it's what we've ended up with. But now we're going to just start with that right from the very beginning. When we say slope-intercept form, that formula, I'll add it right here. The slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Is that your favorite?
Yes.
Yes. So we're going to do everything pretty much the same in the beginning in a way. What's step one? Find the slope. It doesn't matter how you do the problem, kids. Don't both formulas require you to know the slope? So when you start a line problem, you're going to start by finding the slope. So our slope, 5 minus 1, negative 1 minus 4. I did that kind of fast, so watch my arithmetic. I got negative 4/5. What about you?
Yeah.
Does that look about right? Now, I know what I would do if I were point sloping, but I'm not. I'm slope intercepting. So this is my formula I'm going to use. My m is going to be negative 4/5. Just like before, you're going to pick a point. And the point you pick is going to be your x and your y. I'm going to pick this one, no negatives. And I have my x and my y. Now I'm going to plug those in. So I'll have 1 equals negative 4/5 times 4 plus b. Do you see what I did? You see where all these numbers came from? I'm using this form right here. Y is 1, m is negative 4/5, x is 4, plus b. You okay with that? So now we have 1 equal to, all right, I gotta multiply these. So what's that gonna be? Top times top, bottom times bottom. Negative 16/5.
For the problems above, when we found slope, why did we do the y2 minus y1, but then in this one we did it the opposite?
Good question. When you find slope, it's always the change in y over the change in x. You can do this minus this, or this minus this. It doesn't make any difference ever. You can always go both ways. The deal is, though, if I do 5 minus 1, then I have to do negative 1 minus 4. I can go in either order, but I have to go the same order for both x and y. Okay? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, it will not change your answer at all. All right, what do I do here? I'm still trying to figure out what my b is. Add 16/5. Okay, we're back to where we were a minute ago. I need a common denominator, right? 1 is 5/5. This is 1 over 1, so it'd be 5 over 5. So 5/5 and 16/5 is 21/5. Y equals negative 4/5 x plus 21/5 is my final answer. Y equals m x plus b. Now, with your partner, would you try B, the second one of those? And I'll do it up here too, and we'll compare answers. You're doing it exactly the same way we just did this one. You guys have this done?
I got 3 for B.
Quickly, hurry back, please.
Wait, so it's not y2 minus y1, it's y1 minus
It
y2.
doesn't matter.
So, but if I do,
If you did 2 minus -2, then you have to do 1 minus -3. But if you do -2 minus 2, then you do 3 minus 1. It doesn't matter.
2 minus -2, yeah.
Okay, you should have your slope done by now.
Or is that just 1?
I got 1 for my slope, did you? Oh, that helps out a lot. That means we won't have fractions.
Right?
You got 1 as your slope? You guys, I don't know. B is 1 also?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick this point. So 2 equals 1 times 1 plus B. Oh my gosh, you're right. This was an easy one. Y equals X plus 1. Everybody getting that as your final answer?
Yeah.
Boy, if there's no fractions, it's a quick process. It's easy, isn't it? Who's got a question about that? Austin, I see you back there looking quizzical. What do you think? What's your question? Where are you stuck? Did you get this? That was your slope. Okay, well remember, y minus y. So that's going to be 2 minus -2. That turns into a 4. And then 1 minus -3, that also turns into a 4. So we have 4 over 4, which is 1. That's our m. That goes in for m. Then I picked this point, and I put 2 in for my y, and 1 in for my x. So 2 equals 1 plus b. I subtracted 1 and got b equals 1. You okay? Now number 5 is the same kind of problem, but it adds in a new little twist. Number 5a says, I have a line now you don't have to graph it. In fact, there's probably not enough room. I want you to just look at this for a minute. Here's the line y equals 3x minus 5. Here is the point -2, 3. Now your job is to write the equation of the line that goes through that point and is parallel to this one. That's what you're doing. You're going to write the equation of this line right here. Does that make sense to you? Now, you have your point. This is going to be your x and your y that you're going to plug in. What do we not know about this line? What's its slope? Or do we know the slope? We do, because it's parallel, and at the beginning of the period, somebody said slope is the slant of the line. And if they're parallel, what's going to be true about their slants? They're going to be the same. So this line is going to have the same slope as this line. Okay, what's the slope of this line?
Y equals 0 plus 5.
That's the equation of the line. What's its slope? 3. How do I know the slope is 3? Y equals mx plus b. And what does m stand for? Slope. So whatever is hooked to the x, if you have y equals mx plus b, if you have y by itself, whatever is hooked to x is going to be the slope. So this line has a slope of 3. The point is -2, 3. Do I have enough information to write my equation? Yeah. Y equals mx plus b. I'm going to plug in 3 for y, 3 for m, -2 for x, and I'm going to figure out what b is. Did that make sense? It's what you just did over here. Except you didn't have to find the slope. It was given to you. Because parallel lines have the same slope. So 3 equals -6 plus b, so b equals 9. You're adding 6 to both sides, b equals 9. And then our final answer, y equals 3x plus 9.
Can you simplify that?
No, you have nothing to do with that. That is done. If you really wanted to, you could factor out a 3, but then it would just look like this. And we don't do that when we do lines, because when we do lines, we like to see what the intercept is, so if I have to graph it. So we probably wouldn't do that. It would be possible, we'd be wrong, but. All right. Now you're looking, I hope, at the next problem, and you see a different word. This time, we're writing the equation of a line that is perpendicular. That's the symbol for perpendicular from geometry. Now, what are your thoughts on that? Do you remember? Oh, Deshanti remembers.
It's the opposite slope. I just told her that.
You're very
I
close.
knew before she told me.
That's awesome, but you have half of it. You don't have the whole thing. It's the opposite, but it's the opposite reciprocal. So for perpendicular lines, the slopes are opposite, which means, the word opposite means if one is positive, the other one will be negative. Opposite reciprocals, which means you're going to flip it over and change its sign. So whatever slope I'm going to use is going to be the opposite reciprocal slope of this line. Well, how do I find the slope of that line? Get y by itself. Because if you can get y by itself, remember we just talked about it, here's your slope. If you can get y by itself. So here we go, we're going to get y by itself. So I'll subtract 2x. So I subtracted 2x from both sides. Now I'll divide by -4. So y equals, okay, here we go. What's this? What's negative 2 over negative 4? 1/2 minus 1/4. Now don't freak out about the fractions. What is the slope of this line?
-2.
Well, the slope of this line is 1/2, which means the slope that I want is the opposite reciprocal, which would be -2. So I've got a slope of -2. Now, those of you that aren't paying attention, there's a lot to keep track of here. It's not hard, but you have to be organized. Step 1, we had to find the slope of the line they gave us. We couldn't tell by looking at it, so we had to get y by itself. This tells me the slope of the line they gave me is 1/2. So the slope of the line I want is -2 over 1. And there's my point. Am I ready to write my line now? Y equals mx plus b. This is my m, this is my x and y. So y equals -2x plus b. I got -2x minus 1, but I'm open to corrections if I've made a mistake. Oh, heavy sigh. Good stuff. Any questions about that? Okay, do we have class tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah.
PRC, we do, good. Here's what's gonna happen tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to have a little quizzy poo. All right? And we're going to do the calculator work we were supposed to do today, okay? So, it's all right, we're good. But tomorrow I need you to bring the calculator. If you don't have one, that's all right. Borrow one from a friend, check it out from the library, bring a calculator. A graphing calculator. And we're gonna have a quiz. So, we're not done. But in our remaining minutes, let's talk about what are some quiz questions. If you were writing the quiz over everything up till this point, what are some things that would be on the quiz? Distance and midpoint.
Can we even put on stuff from today?
Uh-huh. So let's think about this being P and this being Q. And let's talk about the distance from P to Q, which is written this way. This is how we say distance, PQ, distance from P to Q. Remember, distance is a radical. And we'll subtract our x's
1 minus 3.
and subtract our y's. And then we'll simplify. So 1 minus 3
Maybe a question would be
squared. Wait.
Four.
Let me finish here. 4 squared is
16.
16.
20.
Square root of 20.
Give her a second.
And the square root of 20 is 2 root 5. Perfect.
Give her a second.
That could be a quiz question.
Would a question before that be what is distance formula?
No. I'm never going to ask you to write the formula.
Beautiful.
Nobody will. You have to use it. Now, what about midpoint? Do you remember how to find midpoint? These two usually go together. Midpoint is the average. So 1 plus 3 over 2 and 4 plus 8 over 2. So your midpoint would be 4 over 2 and 12 over 2. There's your midpoint. All right, what else? Those are very possibly quiz questions. Hint. What else?
Center and radius.
Absolute value. So something like this?
3 plus
7.
Absolute value of -3 is 3. Now do the inside first. So 7 minus 11 is -4, and the absolute value of -4 is 4. So the answer to that problem would be 7. Okay? What else?
Property.
Properties could be on there, right? Well, wait, so what are some properties? How about, what property is this?
Commutative.
Yes! That's commutative of multiplication. And why is it commutative? Because we changed the order. Let me give you one more. What property is that?
Inverse.
That's an inverse, and it's the inverse for addition. When they cancel each other out, it's an inverse. Good. What else? Okay, so, a question might be, here's a point, 6, -2. Which quadrant is it in? Quadrant 4. Because this is quadrant 4, and this is where x is positive and y is negative.
So it goes 1, 2.
So it's counterclockwise.
So it's just, yeah, alright. I like that.
Yeah.
What's the difference between clockwise and counterclockwise?
Commutative changes the order. So if we had, this is the easiest way for me to show you. Okay. These use the same letters, same parentheses, it's all the same. This is associative because it's XYZ, XYZ. The only thing that changed is I took the parentheses and instead of putting them around the X and the Y, I moved them over here and put them around the Y and the Z. That's association. That's how they are associated with each other. That's grouping. Here, I still have the 3 letters, but notice this is XYZ and this is YXZ. The same 2 things are in the parentheses. I didn't reassociate them, I rearranged them. I changed their order. That's commutative.
So associative has the same
Order. Yep. Yep. If it's associative, it's staying exactly the same order. Paul?
No, I was in
Way to try to remember it is like you associate with the same people.
Yep, that's right. You associate with the same people, so that, well, here you're associating with, if it's associated, you're different association. So here X and Y are associated, and here Y and Z are
But
associated.
it's like the same word.
Yes, yes.
That's all or something.
No,
It could be
you're
anything.
supposed to be telling me more, but we have 2 more minutes. What else could be on there?
There was a question like on the homework last night that was like, it was asking if it was linear equation, but it didn't have an X in it, so does that mean no?
Yeah, that's a no. It has to have an X in it to be a linear equation, right? Because it said, is it a linear equation in X? So it has to have an X in it.
Additive inverse.
One for sure that's gonna be on the quiz is something like this. We keep talking about these, but people keep missing them. So we're gonna keep talking about them. We gotta be able to simplify that. So.
Well, you
now
do the
here
exponent.
is-
You do the exponent first.
Big issue is, we see this negative, and we think we're gonna flip our X's. No,
So
this guy stays here. This one has to come down, you are exactly right. That one has to move, but this one doesn't move. He has a positive exponent. So we're gonna have 3 and 4. Now when I bring these down, I'm gonna have 6 of them on the bottom. Kids, it's easy. You're bringing 4 down, and there are already 2 down there. Set it back to the 6. Now, what about my y5 over y3?
you end up with y
I end up with a y squared up on
top.
top. Now, I still have to take care of that. Okay? So that will be 9 y to the 4th, 16 x to the 12. Alright, I think 1105 is ready. Okay, I know you're disappointed, but it's time to go. I'll see you tomorrow.
As always.
You will have a calculator, I will have a quiz.
I want my backpack tomorrow.
Yes. I don't know how much time that is.
Oh, pencil down.
We'll take the quiz first, and then you'll have to do